Hey everyone, again, my name is Lauren, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit more about disclosing your mental illness to your employer. So this is something that I've struggled with on a few occasions, and it's something that I was just recently struggling with again, about whether or not to tell my employer about my diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder, or just that I struggle with a mental health problem in general. Living with schizophrenia or a mental health problem means that you're not always going to be able to give everything that you're normally capable of giving to your work. It has definitely impacted my effectiveness and the quality of the work that I've been able to produce at times. And sometimes it also means that you're going to have to take some time off in order to look after your own mental health. So with just this information, it seems pretty obvious that you should tell your employer about your mental health problem in order to better come up with a contingency plan for when things go awry, and in order to best equip yourself as well as your boss in order to handle any issues that come up as a result of your mental health problem. There's a lot more to this issue though, and it mostly has to do with stigma. So I've been paralyzed with the idea or thought that if I disclose my mental health problem, that my employer will then think that I'm incompetent or less able to perform my job as well all the time. So an example of when I was grappling with this dilemma was about 1.5 years ago when I was working at a full-time job and I started to struggle with my mental health. I got a doctor's note that unfortunately said that it was from a psychiatric mental health clinic on it. And so they knew right away that it was a mental health problem that I was experiencing. Following that, I felt really pressured by them to resign from my position. And I think it had a lot to do with stigma around mental illness, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I buckled to this pressure and I did resign. So this situation could have and should have ended differently due to the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. You are protected under this charter from this happening if you have a mental illness. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video though, there are definitely some benefits and positives to telling or disclosing your mental illness to your employer. And just recently I decided to do this with my own employer, and I think that there's going to be some positive benefits as a result of that. So if you do decide to disclose your mental health circumstances to your employer, here are some things to consider in preparation. So decide how you will describe your mental health problem. So I thought very carefully about how I wanted to word it to my employer and how I wanted to frame what I was telling her. Another tip would be to provide basic information on your mental health issue if it's asked of you. So just to have some resources or some knowledge at your fingertips in order to answer any questions that your employer may have for you. Another tip would be being able to articulate how exactly your mental health issue affects the work that you do and what you need in order to be successful in your position. So my boss and I talked briefly about triggers for my mental health, and that stress was a major one of these. And so just kind of coming up with strategies in order to mitigate stress a little bit in the workplace, and just discussing what else I needed in order to be successful in my position. Another really important one is encouraging open communication about what both parties need in order to be successful in the workplace environment. So just having these open lines of communication in general is really, really important, especially if you're struggling with a mental health problem. So these were just some tips for if you do decide to disclose to your employer, but it's really important to note that there really is no definitive answer as to what is the best in each situation. For you, it may be better for you to not disclose, and that's okay too. It's not lying to your employer if you choose not to disclose. It's not hiding anything that you should be telling them. It's totally up to you whether or not you want to disclose that information about your own health. So these are also just a few tips from my own experiences and what I've learned in my own experiences. But if you have your own experiences that you would like to share, I would absolutely love to hear from you in the comments below. Or if you have any additional tips or thoughts on disclosing to your employer, I would love to hear from you again. So thanks so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and have a great day. Bye.